Hello, in this video I want to develop one microservice. This microservice is based on the project Cloud Native Starter, which is open sourced and gives a starting point how to develop cloud native applications. Microservices are a fundamental part of that, and so I start just to develop one microservice. Microservices are a software development technique that structures application as a collection of loosely coupled services. To make these a little bit more concrete, we have monolithic applications and we have microservices applications. And when we take a look at that, both can have services. The big difference, we have the monolithic one application instance. In microservices applications, we have more applications itself, and they do communicate to each other. Mostly the communication is done with a RESTful implementation, exchange data with JSON. And with these, a lot of cloud capabilities can be taken as an advantage with these architecture. I don't want to focus on all this cloud stuff. I just want to focus that we have to implement something which is related to RESTful and JSON exchange. So with the Cloud Native Starter project, you have a sample application which just provides articles and authors information. The front end is implemented in Vue.js, and the back end is implemented with Java, and we will only develop the Authors Microservice. As you can see, the implementation here, this is a front end to back end pattern, and we get here the author's information, and we provide only the author information. Okay, when we start with the implementation of the authors, we must think about which data we want to provide. So I start to implement with a class I call author, and the author class, we provide the data we want to exchange later on with JSON. The author should have a name. And I guess he has a blog. And to get in contact with him, he has a Twitter account. That's all we need from our author. So that's the data we want to use later on, maybe in our microservice to exchange data and work with that. But that's all at the moment. And yeah, just to fulfill the normal Java class restrictions, I just create some a needed constructor, and the setters I have prepared here. So here, that's all. Okay, we're done with that. Let's move on. We want to implement a microservice. A microservice runs normally on an application server with the RESTful implementation. So as an application server, we use the OpenLiberty. OpenLiberty is open source and has a low memory footprint and a very fast ramp-up time. And that's the reason why we use it. And it works very closely together with MicroProfile, which gives us support to implement RESTful applications for microservices. So it uses proven technologies like JAX-RS and extends these functionalities with useful functionalities like you can see here with OpenAPI, fault tolerance, and all these other stuff. But I don't want to focus on that. We just move on with our basic stuff. What we want to do, we want to implement an application which implements a RESTful functionality. So with that, I move on to create a class. But before I start with the class, I want to show you the Java project. I have only the dependency to the MicroProfile because, as you have seen, MicroProfile contains all we need to implement the RESTful application we want to implement as a microservice. And here you see the server. I use the Maven plugin from the Liberty server. That's cool. And here I have the server configuration. We can just take a short look in the server configuration. Here, a small configuration here. We use only the feature MicroProfile, which is provided from the server. And we use the port 3000. That's important for later because we want to expose later these port in a Docker container or in a container. That's important to know. The number is only because before we had the Node.js implementation of the Authors service, and now we have Java implementation. So we give a root context to our application itself, and yeah, so that it was. So now let's start with the concrete application running on this server. We call these the Authors application. So the Authors application, the class, and now we import the needed JUXRS stuff, web services, RS, and now that's a core element, yeah, the core element, the application. When we extend our class from this application, then we have these capabilities of the RESTful implementation later on. So we also want to provide a concrete path for our application. So application path, and with this we use the later on the annotation. That's a cool stuff. Annotations are usual in the Java world, and with the MicroProfile, it also implements annotation. And as you see, we use the JUXRS, which is common. So you can also reuse, for example, existing code. It extends the application. So, and we are done. I only will create a constructor right now, just to show later on that this application is instantiated when we call the application itself. So yeah, so that's all we need. I'll save. Okay, we have now the instantiation of a REST application. Now we need the REST functionality. The REST functionality we implement in a class called getAuthor because we want to provide the author's data. And here we see we have imported already JSONB. That's later on for the serialization of our authors class. And we have JUXRS already there. And now we start with the path we want to. Okay, just I did it wrong. Okay, yeah, with the path. So the path, we want to access our microservice. We give it a name and call it getAuthor. So okay, called getAuthor. And then we use the annotation also to define which HTTP REST call is implemented. That's GET. So, and with a more specific information, produces, sorry. We provide the information what it produces, the media type, and the media type is JSON. Okay, with these we have a lot of information already here. So we have done our implementation of the microservice. We have a RESTful implementation, we have a server. This is the author. We instantiate the author class. We use JSONB for the serialization, and now as a response we provide the author information, build the response, and send it. So that's all we have to implement with the JAX-RS stuff. Now I want to start this small application. I will start this application with the Maven plugin, and additional plugin I have here which starts the OpenLiberty in the debugging modus also, so I directly can connect my debugger here on the port 777. Yeah, you will see it later on where it starts here. Okay, it's been launched. It downloads the server in the server, and as you can see here, the server is installed following feature, and we have all these features just with the feature implementation or the feature dependency with MicroProfile. So the application is running. Now I will also attach the debugger. So the debugger is attached. Now we create also a breakpoint in the author class here, for example. Is it saved? Okay. Not the debug console. I go back here. As you can see, if I save a class, there's automatically an update to the server. So we do not have to stop or restart the server. So, okay, cool stuff. Now, let's see what happens. But before we do that, just take a look here once again. We have all these features installed, and we also have installed, let me see, OpenAPI. And the cool thing is, with the OpenAPI, which is out of the box in MicroProfile, it uses the existing annotation and creates from the existing annotation OpenAPI Explorer. So we can directly access our microservice, RESTful microservice, with an API Explorer. So I will do that. Now just you can take a look that the application, the server is running. So let me see that's on a local host. Here we have here the Liberty server. And the next is we have local host and OpenAPI UI. And you can see here we have deployed one API. This is all with the existing annotation, and now we can also try out. And I execute it. And you can see here the debugging. Yeah, that works. Can go to the debugging. Now it creates, we create a JSON object and all this stuff. So I don't want to do this. I just want to show you that it's possible. So we move on. And now here we got the result. Good stuff. And by the way, this is out of the box. You have nothing additional done. It just comes with the framework. And now I remove, you already have seen, I guess, all these comments. And these comments are the documentation, the additional documentation we can add. For these, I will also import additional statement for the OpenAPI. So, and with that, yeah, we will have additional documentation. The cool thing is we have the documentation where it really can be used. So when we provide this OpenAPI Explorer, everyone who wants to consume our API can take a look in this documentation. That's a cool stuff. So our documentation will be hopefully read. So we have done the work not for free. Nobody use it. We document it, but nobody use it. And now here, move on. And here, yeah, you see magic, Authors Service. Take a look here. We have now the documentation with the return values and all this additional information. And when we try it out, we also have a sample. So, and when we execute it, so yeah, the same will happen. Yeah, that's the cool stuff. Just move on. Later on, we want to run these RESTful application in a container, in a cloud environment on Kubernetes. And with that, health check comes in place because Kubernetes checks the service if the service really exists, and this must be implemented. And to do that, there's an out-of-the-box implementation of MicroProfile for that. Just to show you the out-of-the-box implementation, I have done nothing in addition, and the health check. Okay, is in place. Cool stuff. And now we will implement our own class, or to make these more concrete, yeah, so that we have some meaningful information in our health check. And this is the health check class. We import health check information, user annotation. Yeah, and this is our information. Yeah, for sure. That's a very simple stuff now here. Only add specific information, but you can also check some other dependencies or other functionalities of the service itself inside this class. Yeah. And that's a cool stuff to really provide additional meaningful information. Yeah, done. So I save. Okay. Now remember, I just want to show you one remaining thing. Okay, what was it? We started the server, the first call. What was the class called? Yeah, and yeah, you see it. I promised the application started. So these is the reason why we can all use all these other stuff. Yeah, cool. It works. Not a lot to implement. And when we take a look with the MicroProfile, yeah, it's really useful. And this was the first step, just providing, back here, the author's information with the responsibility to give author information in a REST format and with JSON data. So I hope this was useful for you, and see what's next. Bye.